Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I am going to be drawing some superheroes and they're gonna kind of look like this. You'll notice that I have done lots of practice drawings. I want to make sure that everyone knows that drawing superheroes is a pretty difficult thing to do. So please don't get frustrated if it doesn't come out right the first time. The best cartoonists and illustrators in the comic book world practiced before they got good at drawing. And basically what you're doing is creating the human body, and you're connecting it with lines and shapes. So one of the artists that I learned from is Jim Lee, who is an artist who did a lot of the work for DC Comics. So drawing Batman, Superman. So this style that I show you is going to be roughly based on his style. A lot of you might love Marvel Comics, and a lot of you probably have a favorite superhero. So think about creating this artwork based on your favorite superheroes, or make up your own. So the way that Jim Lee starts his artwork is with a pencil. And the most important thing when you are drawing comics or drawing superheroes is to draw a light before you got it right. And we're going to be using lots of sketch lines today. So what that means is you're not really trying to get one perfect line. You're going over your pencil lines over and over again until you kind of create the shape that you like. And you may wonder what I'm doing right now. So I am starting with the torso. I'm starting with the chest. You can imagine that this is some like the ribs right here, and this is the chest, and then these are the shoulders. So what Jim Lee recommends is planning your superhero based on the size of your paper, the space that you have to work with, and starting with that kind of center spot. So shoulder, shoulder, chest, and then I'm going to put a little spot right here for where my neck is going to come up. And this is helpful when you think about drawing a realistic human body, just thinking about where things go and using simple shapes to do that. So Jim typically comes down from his chest. This is going to be kind of coming down into the back or the belly. And as you can see, I'm really kind of going back and forth over these lines to make sure that the curve looks right, that it's not too straight or not too skinny. And what I'm going to do for us is I'm going to have our person kind of leaping, or maybe flying, or maybe lunging into the air. And so to do that, I'm actually going to have the legs kind of cross over, which is kind of a fun thing to learn how to do. So I have the top torso part done. I'm going to kind of create just a rough area of where I know my pelvis will be. And what he also recommends is very lightly kind of planning out where the arms and legs are going to go, and the head. Especially the head, make sure you draw really light, because this is where most people either make it too big or too small and it doesn't look right, or it's not at the right angle. So I'm going to make my really light kind of oval egg shape right here and gently connect the neck into those shoulder areas. You have to think a lot about where your muscles are. I always recommend in class when we do superheroes kind of feeling your shoulder and feeling where your wrist is and where your elbow is, and your collarbone and your neck. Don't forget about all the parts of your body. So I have kind of just gently planned out the arms here. I know that one's going to go up and one's going to go down. I'm also making sure that I'm not running out of room on my paper. So that's another common problem, is that people make their superheroes either too close to the top or the bottom, and then they run out of space. So I just gently drew those. I'm going to kind of plan out where this fist is going to go, sort of like a little rounded square. Now, like I said, I want this leg to cross over, so I'm going to start by drawing an oval right here. That's going to be the thigh. This will be a knee, and then this will be where my leg comes down. The other leg, I know that it's going to come out from over here, so I can kind of plan that out. very gently, gently, gently. And you'll notice that you'll say, well, I'm really confused. How is this going to change into what I want it to look like? And that's where drawing comics can be tricky, because you start with these really simple shapes that come together, and then after only a few simple changes, it starts to look a little bit more like what you were thinking. When you draw your legs below the knee, let's say the knee starts right here, the calf muscle on the back of your leg kind of goes out and then comes down to a skinny ankle, especially with these superheroes that have very exaggerated features. So when I draw my calf and my shin, I'm gonna almost make it like kind of come down to a point. And then I'm planning out my feet with these triangles. And another common mistake is that people make the feet either too short, or they don't add enough curve in the bottom of the foot, so it just looks a little strange. So think about curving that bottom of the foot in, and then really connecting with a smooth, sketchy line into the shin. Same thing here. Once you have those areas already planned out, you've kind of done all the work. So really all you have to do is start to figure out what looks right. And so again, at this foot down here, hopefully you can see that, I am curving in and going down into a point using my pencil. I'm already noticing that this foot doesn't have that kind of, it looks like they're running, and I want them to be more flying. So I'm actually going to erase. That's why I'm really happy that I drew light, and I'm gonna redo it, and it's gonna actually come down more straight like that, so that it kind of has more of a, it almost looks like a dancer. I kind of think about ballerinas and these dancers that have these really like, their bodies kind of move in these very beautiful ways. And you'll see that a lot of times in comic book drawing. All right, so now I have that. I can erase the lines that I know I definitely don't want to see. And I'm gonna go back up to this. This is where my leg crosses over. So I'm gonna make that darker and come back to the top of the thigh here, going out to this knee. Once I've drawn those lines, I know where I can start to define these muscles. Again, that calf kind of curves out, especially if these superheroes have been working out. Good calf muscles. This one, again, I think I want it more straight down, like he's kind of, or she is lunging into the air. I'm also going to try and make sure that this project doesn't align with one particular superhero. It can be any superhero you want. Again, now I'm realizing this is probably coming out too far, so I can change that. That's the beauty of these sketchy lines. Big, strong upper body that you can see, these muscles. Bicep, I'm going to do like a big oval here for the bicep, which connects to your shoulder. Again, same kind of idea with your wrist. It kind of comes to that point. Fist, we'll work on that in a little bit. And as you can see, I can start to connect these lines and say, ooh, that looks like how I want it. It's helpful if you draw curves in the chest, so you know that this person is actually kind of torqued. So that chest area where you'll put your pecs, that is going to have a curve in it, which is really, really helpful, especially when you're drawing three-dimensional superheroes that are in action. And the chest will actually curve over, so you won't see that kind of armpit area. I'll do the same thing here. I'm making that bicep with a sketchy oval, and then the back of the arm is pretty flat, and then this one comes down to a point at the wrist. I know I'm probably making it look a lot easier, but that's because I've practiced so much. And I learned from not only drawing, but reading comic books as a kid. I used to love Batman. I'm gonna make that like glute a little bit more defined there. Gluteus maximus. All right, I'm gonna pause and come back so like you can see better for the head, because the head is really tricky. And then we'll do some outline work. All right, so I'm gonna show you the face now, which can be really difficult actually. What's really helpful is if you actually, because we're making this person kind of flying up, you're gonna see the bottom of their chin. So it's helpful for me if I actually draw that chin line and then connect the chin line with a curve, kind of right down into the shoulder. So you've created that kind of strong jaw. Also, because I know that they're looking up, I want to kind of plan out the nose, if you are drawing a nose, off to the side. I think what I'm going to do is actually, instead of drawing a face on this person, I'm going to make them wearing a mask. And I think I'm going to make this Spider-Man. Spider-Man's one of my favorites. So for Spider-Man, maybe Spider-Man is leaping up, or maybe I'll draw Spider-Man holding onto a web. Spider-Man has a suit with these big eyes that are very almond shaped, or kind of football shaped, and you're only going to see a little bit of this side. And then, like, now that I've completed all this and I'm happy with how my sketchy lines look, I'm gonna actually go over the lines that I'm happy with Sharpie and then erase everything else. And so you can even change some of it. If you say, ooh, I don't really like how that looks, so I'm gonna just change it ever so slightly with my Sharpie. And you can even use those quick lines. Quick lines sometimes help if you wanna create that kind of sketchy comic book feel. Again, maybe I'll make Spidey holding onto a web here. It's kind of coming out. Really take your time, especially with Sharpie, so that you don't make a mistake and do something that you're unhappy with. But also remember that this is one of the hardest things to do as an artist. A lot of people really struggle with drawing the human body, especially if you're trying to draw it to look like somebody. If you're creating someone new, that's fine, because then you get to decide what it should and shouldn't look like. Notice that I'm trying not to do the sketchy line thing with my Sharpie. That was just to kind of plan out all this. Now that I've decided that I like how that boot looked, I can really figure out. And again, I've had a lot of practice, so don't feel discouraged if yours doesn't look exactly like mine. Let's see, what else can I do here? Now I'm actually thinking I'm ready to erase these lines and plan out Spidey's suit here. And this is, again, like I've showed you before, I did a lot of different versions of this, and I'm not exactly sure which one I like best, but I know that I'm getting better, and I'm learning how to do it with more and more practice. So just have fun. That's what art is for, especially in these times right now. It's really important that you spend some time doing something that makes you feel good, and trying to use art to make yourself feel good is, I think, one of the most important things to do right now. All right, so this is a very buff Spidey. Spidey has been hitting the gym during this quarantine. And so now I have erased those other lines. I'm noticing that maybe I should have kind of slowed down a little bit. This arm looks a little weird, but that's okay. I'm going to use creative problem solving to fix that. All right, so I will upload the picture of what it looks like when it's finished after I add all of the suit